In central Kalimantan lies Sebangau National Park. It is home to many native animals, including the critically endangered Bornean orangutan. It also houses one of the largest peatlands in Indonesia, an important ecosystem for the planet's climate. Not only wildlife, a group of Kalimantan indigenous Dayak community also lives in and near the national park. With its abundant wealth, Sebangau is one of the last remaining tropical rainforests in Southeast Asia.
But just like forests in other regions of Kalimantan, Sebangau is facing a danger. This protected area is slowly but surely losing parts of its forests. This is the story of Kalimantan Lost Sanctuary.
Spanning an area 8 times the size of Jakarta, Sebangau is among the country's largest national parks. It straddles 3 administrative regions: Palangkaraya City, Pulang Pisau Regency, and Katingan Regency. But Sebangau was not always a conservation area. Before it became a national park, it was the site of industrial forests from the 1970s to the late 90s. In 2004, the government designated the area as a national park. After decades of deforestation in the area, its purpose is to protect and restore the local ecosystem. More than 20 years later, however, some part of the national park have been lost. I went to Banturung, a sub-district in Palangkaraya that is still part of Sebangau. Instead of old tropical trees, what I found in Banturung were oil palm plantations. Each of these plantations can span up to hundreds of hectares. And every 2 weeks, they can produce up to 25 tons of oil palm fruit bunches. The one I visited spanned 37 hectares and was located inside the national park. This was not the only plantations located within the area of the national park. An analysis of satellite images by Awira Nusantara has found that in 2024, around 2,000 hectares of Sebangau had been changed into oil palm plantations. Other plantations, owned by either small local farmers or big companies, can also be found in areas surrounding the park.
So why can people clear land for plantations in a protected area like Sebangau?
Fakta bahwa ilegalitas masih terjadi di Taman Nasional Sebangau itu memang menurut kami itu tidak lepas dari sebenarnya persoalan mendasar dalam tata kelola kawasan konservasi.
This is Muhammad Ikhwan from the Indonesian Independent Forest Monitoring Network, or JPIC, which has been monitoring Indonesia forests and how they have been disappearing.
Pemerintah lebih kemudian mementingkan, kalau bahasa hukum itu ultimum remedium gitu ya. Jadi sanksi administrasi lebih didahulukan gitu Mas dibanding sanksi pidana. Ini yang kemudian menyebabkan para pelaku pelanggaran ini tidak jera gitu Mas.
When I visited Sebangau, I found that some of these plantations had been seized by Satgas PKH, or the Forest Area Enforcement Task Force. This task force was formed by President Prabowo Subianto to seize illegal plantation and mines located within national forests. Since February 2025, Satgas PKH has seized more than 5 million hectares of plantation and mines in forests nationwide. The government is to grant state-owned forestry firm Agrinas the authority to manage the majority of seized lands.
Despite warnings from the task force, I still found people working at these plantations.
They harvested and loaded oil palm fruits onto a truck for taking to the mills, where they will be processed into crude palm oil, or CPO. This commodity is used in Indonesia and exported to other countries for making forest products. But oil palm is not the only problem in Sebangau. The park management is yet to resolve decades of land conflict with some Dayak communities. I visited the village of Petak Bandang, where the Dayak Ngaju people have been living for centuries. Petak Bandang is located on the banks of the Razo River, a branch of the Katingan River that flows in and around Sebangau. The Ngaju is one of the many sub-tribes of the indigenous Dayak community, most of whom live in central Kalimantan. The province's governor, Cilik Riwut, was also a member of Ngaju community. When the government declared Sebangau as a national park, Ngaju Elder Dobe said no one had asked the tribe for their input. 22 years later, the Ngaju people still dispute the park's borders.
Memang sejak adanya Taman Nasional, masyarakat itu kan jadi resah. Kenapa resah? Kejelasannya kan untuk masyarakat tidak ada, sivilisasinya nggak ada. Sampai sekarang di dalam peta satelitnya kena wilayah Desa Petak Bahandang di wilayah Sungai Rasau. Tapi secara masyarakat itu kan tidak tahu di mana tempat sebenarnya.
Lack of clarity on the borders of the national park hurts the Ngaju people and their livelihoods. In the past, the Ngaju relied on the local forest to live. They gathered wood to build their houses and harvested forest plants for food, all without damaging the ecosystem. Herdianto, a Ngaju elder, said now that the forest was close to them, the tribe's people had turned to other illicit work, from plantation to gold mining, to make a living.
Memang tidak ada usaha lain, tidak ada. Kamu cek aja di kampung ini, mana ada usaha lain, kecuali yang punya kebun sawit. Kalau yang tidak punya kebun sawit, makan apa? Cuma mengandalkan emas saja.
Given the limited opportunities, some Ngaju people have gone down to the river to mine gold. To reach the mine, I traveled from Petak Bahandang on Klotok, a traditional wooden boat. These miners are operating illegally inside the national park. They cleared trees and built a mining shack on the riverbank. They also use chemicals like mercury to extract gold. Agus Rahman is one worker who has been mining for gold here since 2023. He works with two family members, including his wife, Wita, who is from the Dayak Ngaju tribe. Before mining, Agus used to work at oil palm plantations, but he says he enjoys mining more.
Oleh waktu itu tuh kalau dapat gator-gatornya tuh 4 hari 120 juta. Dia langsung bikin ini bang saya, yang ikut orang tuh.
Agus and his family are not the only people mining in the park. According to the administration of Petak Bahandang village, there are at least 13 illegal gold mines operating in and around the national park. Park rangers often come and warn Agus to stop mining, but he says he has the right to work there because his wife's family owns the land.
Sedangkan ini tanah kami, seumuran dari kecil nih, mertua saya nih dari kecil nih berkebun di sini. Kayak pakai sana ada itu, ada kebun karet segala macam tuh pakai kan nggak bisa. Nah, kecuali ada ganti ruginya.
The national park has created economic pressure on the Ngaju people, slowly uprooting them from their land and culture. This may eventually lead to more harm to the park ecosystem and the Sbangos forest, according to activist Alfianus Genesius Rinting from Aman, of the Indigenous People Alliance of the Archipelago.
Jadi Dayak ini berubahnya secara pelan-pelan banget, Mas. Dia dicabut dari hubungannya dengan alam yang bagus itu, kembali menjadi alam hanya sekedar alat produksi material yang siap berubah bentuk menjadi uang. Penguasaan lahan yang masif, akhirnya hutan yang menjadi sandaran itu juga pelan-pelan mulai dihabisin. Ada tradisi-tradisi yang mulai hilang karena hutannya juga semakin hilang.
Back in Palangkaraya, I'll talk with Ruswanto, head of the Sbango National Park, about how some areas of the park were disappearing. Ruswanto admits that agrarian conflicts still continue in parts of Sbango. He said the roots of this conflict trace back to 2004, when the national park was declared, as well as forestry regulations.
Ini penyebabnya ketika 2004 tadi, pertama kali penunjukan itu, SK-nya batas kawasan itu sebelumnya besar sekali, lebih dari 580.000 kawasan kita. Tapi kemudian ada itu tadi, ternyata sudah dikelola masyarakat, dikeluarkan. Ini yang akhirnya menjadi konflik tenurial. Ada lahan yang sudah dikerjakan masyarakat dimasukkan dalam dalam kawasan Sbango. Dan di sini memang lebih banyak memang sudah ditanam sawit sama masyarakat.
While some plantations inside the park belong to smallholders, they reportedly supply oil palm fruit to big companies. For example, oil palm fruits from Bandung were sent to a mill in Katingan Regency owned by PT Pancamitra Katingan, or PMK. The PMK mill, in turn, is a documented supplier to numerous multinational companies, including Nestle, Pepsi, Cargill, and Kao. These companies have pledged to not source their raw materials from plantation linked to deforestation.
But what is happening in Sebangau tells a different story.
Sebenarnya kalau kemudian dibiarkan ya ini akan semakin merusak tata kelola dan merusak taman nasional yang kita tahu punya fungsi ekologi yang sangat penting bagi masyarakat lokal, adat, dan juga iklim global.
I reached out to PMK, Nestle, Cargill, Pepsi, and Kao for their comments. In an email on June 16, Nestle said it was committed to use palm oil made from sources that were free from deforestation. As for the operation of PMK, Nestle said it would review its suppliers and take necessary action if it found any wrongdoing. Pepsi also said it will take the allegation of potential non-compliance seriously, and that it was investigating its suppliers about potential link to the PMK. Meanwhile, Kao, a Japanese chemical and cosmetic company, replied in an email that the company didn't have a direct business relationship with PMK's mill. Kao also pledged that if it found products from mill involved in deforestation or other wrongdoings, it will take the appropriate action against these suppliers.
Cargill also said it will launch an investigation to review its suppliers. By the time of publication, I received no response from PMK.
Encroachment and illegal forest conversions, like in Sebangau, are also happening at other national parks in Indonesia. One example is Tesonilo, a national park in Riau Province. Tesonilo is home to the critically endangered Sumatran elephant, but around 80% of the park has been converted into plantation and human settlements. Under Forestry Ministry in Jakarta, Ahmed Satyan Putiatmoko, the Director General of Natural Resources and Ecosystem, who coordinates the management of national parks. He admitted that his office still lacked the manpower to oversee all corners of national parks and prevent encroachment from happening.
Salah satu hal yang cukup mencolok ya, kelemahan kita adalah rasio antara polisi hutan dengan luas kawasan yang kita miliki. Itu masih terlalu luas, artinya satu orang mengampu area yang terlalu luas. Sehingga pada tahun 2026, ini Kementerian Kehutanan mengajukan ada penambahan polisi hutan sebanyak 21.000 orang. Nah, mudah-mudahan itu bisa diwujudkan nanti di tahun 2027 sudah ada.
The government has also been trying to combat illegal forest conversion by deploying members of Satgas PKH. Critics like Wahyu Perdana from Pantau Gambut are skeptical that these law enforcement efforts will help ensure genuine protection for national parks.
Kalau ada pengambilan alihan fungsi kawasan hutan, kembalikan dong ke fungsinya. Bukan kemudian diberikan pada pihak ketiga atau BUMN seperti Agrinas. Kalau kemudian hanya mengambil dari yang ilegal tapi kemudian diberi stempel dan itu kemudian kembali pada fungsi monokultur skala luasnya, bukan dikembalikan pada fungsi ekosistemnya, sama aja memperpanjang kerusakan.
But Satyawan said, if a plantation stood in a conservation area, the ministry will cut down the oil palms in order to recover the forest.
Setelah ada penguasaan oleh Satgas, maka kita bisa melakukan kegiatan selanjutnya, yaitu melakukan pemulihan ekosistem. Ya, jadi kalau dia lahan kosong ditanami kembali, dijadikan kembali menjadi habitat satwa liarnya nanti bisa kembali ke situ lagi, fungsi ekologisnya berjalan, fungsi hidrologinya berjalan, ya, fungsi sosialnya juga berjalan.
Back in Sebangau, Ruswanto says some plantation owners had agreed to cut their oil palms, which authorities would later replace with fruit trees.
Beberapa sudah bersedia ditumbangkan, kita ganti dengan tanaman multi-purpose tree species. Jadi tanaman yang hasilnya buahnya bisa dimanfaatkan oleh manusia, juga bisa dimakan oleh satwa. Itu beberapa sudah, tapi masih ada beberapa kelompok yang masih bertahan.
Recently, President Prabowo formed a new task force on national park financing, to be led by his brother Hashim Joyadikusumo.
mining tycoon. This new task force will seek innovative funding models for national parks through channels that include carbon trading and ecotourism projects. Sebango is among the 13 parks selected for the task force pilot projects.
Satyawan, who is also a member of the task force, said it aimed to improve governance at several national parks. These parks will later attract more money that will help them protect the ecosystem.
Nah, kita melihat memang ada beberapa taman nasional yang belum optimal di dalam pengelolaannya. Seperti Anda lihat misalnya masih ada konflik benorial, misalnya, artinya fungsi perlindungan dan pengawetannya kita belum bisa berjalan. Nah, itu semua membutuhkan biaya ya, yang tidak semuanya bisa di-cover oleh APBN. Sehingga harus ada inovasi pembiayaan yang bentuknya macam-macam.
But Wahyu questions whether the task force will also push for forest restoration and rehabilitation.
Kalau pendekatannya seperti itu, yang jadi punya keterancamannya dua hal. Satu, apakah kemudian pemulihan lingkungannya betul-betul dilakukan di bawah? Yang kedua, begitu itu jadi landlock untuk jualan kardo, banyak sekali masyarakat yang tidak merusak hutan datang untuk ngambil HBK, hasil hutan bukan kayu, madu kah, rotan kah, purun yang kemudian jadi tas macam-macam itu mudah punya akses masuk atau enggak. Nanti yang terjadi kemudian kalau satu wilayahnya hanya jadi proyek karbon, masyarakat sekitarnya jadi sulit punya akses.
What I saw in Sebango is only a small glimpse into poor governance at Indonesia national parks and forests. Conservation groups have reported a rise in deforestation since Prabowo took office in October 2024. According to Alwiga Nusantara, more than 430,000 hectares of forest area were cleared in 2025. This is nearly double the amount in 2024. Forests were also cleared in conservation areas spanning 25,000 hectares. The future might not get greener, however, in either Sebango or other national parks.
Jadi kami melihat bahwa pemerintahan di bawah pemerintahan Prabowo itu terjadi penyempitan ruang masyarakat sipil sektor kehutanan, ruang partisipasi, ruang kebebasan itu semakin dibatasi gitu Mas. Apalagi ya sektor kehutanan juga saat ini tidak banyak melibatkan partisipasi masyarakat sipil, masyarakat adat, masyarakat lokal gitu Mas. Cenderung kami melihat ruang-ruang korporasi yang memang mereka lebih utamakan gitu ya dibanding kemudian suara-suara dari akar rumput yang sebenarnya mereka ini yang tahu persis kondisi kehutanan, tahu persis kondisi lingkungan, tetapi tidak banyak dilibatkan dalam konteks penyusun kebijakan kehutanan.
The government and the House of Representatives is currently working to revise the Forestry Law of 1999. Aktivis Ikhwan sees this as an opportunity for national reform in forest governance.
Ini salah satu momentum gitu Mas. Salah satunya adalah teman-teman mendorong bagaimana mendekonstruksi pemahaman soal hutan dan kawasan hutan, kemudian juga soal pengakuan masyarakat sipil dalam konteks memonitoring kehutanan, tata kelola hutan gitu ya, termasuk keterbukaan informasi, partisipasi yang selama ini memang jauh dari agenda reformasi.
In Petak Bahadang village, the Dayak Ngaju people are also hoping for better forest governance. As these people continue to struggle in their search for livelihoods that care for their forests, it is the wish of Yang Juli Jogdobe that the government will sit together with the tribe to find a sustainable solution.
Jadi maunya masyarakat harus ada kedekatan antara taman hukum adat ini dengan pemerintah. Kalau memang mereka benar-benar mengakui aturan adat, berarti ada solusi yang terbaik. Tapi kalau tidak ada, mungkin terjadi konflik nanti. Soalnya masyarakat ini kan tetap mempertahankan itu hak miliknya. Jadi harapan kita bagaimana Taman Nasional ini sama masyarakat adat ini kan bisa duduk satu meja. Itu harapannya.
Sebango is supposed to be a sanctuary, both for Dayak people who have been living in here for centuries, and also native species like orangutan and other endemic plants. But this forest may not last long if the government keeps opening the land for extractive business activities. Sebango should serve as a reminder for all national parks across the country that more work is necessary to protect all this forest ecosystem at all costs.